no matter what you're doing, every single person that you engage with is a potential customer, because it's the next person that they talk to that may have that issue, whatever it might be, if it's electrician or whatever. That next piece of business could come your way because of the interaction you had with that one person.
Hi, welcome to Coffee with Confio. I'm William Freitas, and today's topic is personal branding. Today we've got Mark Yeats from Rain and Horn, Double Bay and Bondi Beach. Thank you for coming on the show.
Pleasure, thank you.
It's great to have you because we want to specifically talk to you about personal branding.
Yeah.
Because mate, personally, I think you do personal branding really well, and more importantly, you're in a really competitive space in the real estate industry where it's hard to differentiate yourself, and you've really got to make yourself look different from a personal branding perspective to win. So firstly, can you just start off by telling us a bit about what you do?
Oh, well, obviously real estate. But and I work off a sales platform. So I don't really handle leasing very often, although our office does. I work under the Rain and Horn banner. Rain and Horn's a very big franchise, and which works really well for us in terms of being able to pitch that as a plus to a lot of our vendors. But I sell everything from apartments to houses and commercial spaces, development sites, everything. If it's able to be sold, I'll sell it.
Nice. Nice. And if there's anyone to find to sell it, it's definitely
right.
Mark.
100%.
And all throughout Sydney, yes?
Just the eastern suburbs predominantly. Commercial and development stuff is a little bit different. I do that all over the place. I mean, I remember working on something on the Central Coast at the moment. So,
nice.
So it just depends on the size of it and what it actually is. But from a residential and my bread and butter type sort of stuff is just eastern suburbs.
Perfect. And what is it? I know this is a tough question, but what is it that makes you different from every other real estate agent? And I ask that purely because, there are so many real estate agents out there. I'm sure in your office there's probably already 15 or so, and there's so many different other brands that people could put their trust in. And I see so many synergies as, with small businesses. If they're an electrician, there are so many other electricians that a customer could utilize. So in real estate, what is it that makes you different?
So I think from a personal branding point, and it's a good question, like in terms of what makes you different in a marketplace which is very, very competitive, because real estate's one of those things where everybody does the same thing essentially. Use the same platforms to advertise properties. Everyone has a database. They're opening houses, all that sort of. They're all doing exactly the same thing. I think from the point of difference for an agent is more along the lines of being able to have good touch points with that particular person. So with that vendor, it's not about I do this better than the next person. It's more about that connection that you have with them. And I think that it's listening, as well. Listening to what their needs are, and actually finding a connection with that. So if our sons go to the same school, or they might ride motorcycles. I'm the vice president of the Sydney Ducati Club.
Shout out to the Ducati Club.
There you go. So it's all those just little things that you can find connections with that makes that sale easier, and building trust really quickly. That's a really, really big thing for me is about building trust in a short period of time, because they may see 3 or 4 different agents at that one property, in an afternoon. And you've got to find that one thing that sticks out, that, and also having history, is a really big thing. You can call in agents from all over the place, but if you've got recent sales in that street, in that area, in that price range, it's one of those things that is a really big tick for a lot of people. And just to be able to say, well, we sold this one, and I've got X number of people that came through that
and interested.
Interested. That's right. Or they took contracts or whatever. That's all stuff which builds a very quick rapport with that person.
So obviously track record's a big thing, and I think it's something that all small businesses can can position quite well in terms of the work that they've done previously, and give their clients an understanding of the type of work they're going to do.
Yeah.
But what I really hear is the relationship aspect, which is applicable to all industries.
1,000%.
I don't care how how much you want to introduce technology into an industry to try and minimize relationship. Relationship is always going to win. Because people want to deal with people, and humans want to deal with humans that they get on with. And I think that's something you do really well from a personal branding perspective, is positioning yourself as someone who's approachable and likable. Do you have any sort of tips for, I guess, small businesses and individuals that they can put forward to try and position themselves better?
I think that when you position yourself with a vendor or whoever it may be, I mean, you could be selling ice to Eskimos. It doesn't really matter, right? Yeah. Whatever it might be, it's just about having that connection and making a connection, making an effort to make a connection with somebody. I mean, it's a classic example. I mean, we're obviously going through a pandemic at the moment. Yeah. And over the last 6 weeks, the whole world has changed dramatically. On the real estate basis, we've been very fortunate in the fact that we've still been able to show property, but we've been doing it one-on-one. And so getting deals done during this time, which we've been very fortunate to be able to do, has been all about positioning yourself with a vendor and positioning yourself with a buyer that you can get this done. And for them to have confidence in you. And I think that's one of the biggest things, is for people to have that confidence in you that you can do the job, because it's when it comes to real estate, for example, it's a big asset, and you've got to have some confidence in that person that they're going to do it. And look, marketing can cost you anywhere from $7,000 to $20,000 for a property, right? So having that trust and also being able to do that job and let them know that you can do that job is very, very important. But just from a positioning point of view, I think that it's just going to come down to that one-on-one interaction. And being able to have that one-on-one interaction with people. You can do stuff on email and through databases and all that stuff as much as you like. But at the end of the day, it's the conversations that you're having with people in real life. That's the stuff that makes the difference in getting the business or not getting the business. Yeah,
we could almost delve into a relationship management topic here, because that's something you do quite a fair bit of. Yeah. And I think that adds anyway to personal branding in the sense that the relationship you have with your clients and your prospective clients all adds to your ultimate brand, which I think is fantastic. You touched on the pandemic a little bit, and tell us a little bit about what's happening in the property space, what we're hearing now that it's just open market
again. Slather again. It's very interesting, because we've only just this weekend been able to have open homes again. And it's been a very interesting thing watching people's behaviour. And this is all stuff that I do, right, in terms of from a real estate point of view, is all about behaviour and relationships. So and the real estate market, I was actually very surprised at how many people were actually out looking at property. Because inquiry had really had dropped off in that first couple of weeks, and then just after Easter it spiked, and we were just flat stick with people looking. And I thought, I wonder if this is just people sitting at home and just sending off inquiries, or if we're actually going to see a rise in property and actually people buying, and maybe they've taken money out of the stock market and putting it into property, or they've come into some money or what have you. And it's been amazing how many people have been sitting on money for as long as they have. So look, I just did a deal the other day. It was just for a property under $1 million, and it was all cash. They've just been sitting there, been waiting for an opportunity. Right. So you're starting to find these stories of people who have been sitting on, and maybe they've inherited something, they've been sitting on this money, they've been waiting for an opportunity to purchase. And I think that's going to be more and more of a story as we move forward in the next sort of few months. And certainly people who have sold in the last little while, perhaps at the end of last year, and we're going to start to see those people still needing homes. They might be renting something at the moment, and that's definitely something which we're starting to find. But people are out there actually just looking as well. I met 4 or 5 neighbours the other day, which surprised me. I didn't think that we were going to see that at an open home, and at the moment, just having neighbours walk past just to have a bit of a look. So I think that the property market's going to be one of those things where it's going to be the thing that perhaps drags us out of this. And I think people have still got faith in the property market. Bricks and mortar are, you're never going to lose with bricks and mortar, particularly in the city market.
Safest houses.
It is a very safe investment, and when you look at risk profiles as opposed to stock markets, that type of thing, real estate is a constant. So we're very fortunate in Sydney that we do have a very strong religion in real estate, I suppose. Popularity. So definitely. Very, very much so. So I think that from that point of view, we're going to find that the real estate market will bubble along.
Yeah, nice.
I don't think we're going to see any sort of dramatic falls.
I want to touch on, because even in that I'm hearing a little bit about personal branding, which I want to make sure that the businesses out there really pick up on. And it's something that I think you do really well in the sense that every engagement counts. Every buyer that walks in your door is potentially not a buyer for this property, but for the next property. And I think that's super important. It's something I've learned in my business, it's something you've learned in your business, that every single person that you interact with or engage with could potentially know somebody down the track who you could do business with, or you could do business with them. And I think it's super important to value every engagement and every interaction. Which I hear in what you're saying. Every buyer that walks in, sure, it might be the neighbour, but you're still treating them with, the utmost respect and making sure that they're valued, which I think is fantastic.
You never know where your next piece of business is going to come from. Right, and that goes for every industry. And I think that's a really important point, is that no matter what you're doing, every single person that you engage with is a potential customer, because it's the next person that they talk to that may have that issue, whatever it might be, if it's electrician or whatever, that next piece of business could come your way because of the interaction you had with that one person. And that goes both ways too. That could be a negative.
Most definitely.
Which is one of those things that you need to be really super, super aware of, particularly in a competitive environment like what I work in. In real estate, it only takes one bad review and
100%.
Your next month can go awry, or you can miss out on something which is really, really big, which may have been coming your way. So you're absolutely right. Like treating everyone with respect, and also as much as sometimes you might hang up the phone and exactly. But I think that every piece of business and every interaction with someone is super important, and to have somebody who, I've listed an apartment in North Bondi, and that guy said, look, you're always going to get business, because you've done work with my father, you've sold multiple properties for him, I trust you, you've got a great record in this building, etc., etc. So just having people talk about you in a positive light, regardless, and they're trusting you with their biggest asset. And that's the same with if you're a plumber or you're an electrician or whatever. It's a big investment in that person from a cash flow point of view. That for them to be going and doing that work and trusting you to do the work and do the right thing.
So no matter the size of investment, it's super important to
100%
look after that sale, because there could be a bad review, as you mentioned,
or even a good
review. We're all in sales. Exactly. It doesn't matter if you have a technical element to your role. It's all very much sales, relationship, and ultimately personal branding. So, mate, thank you for the words of wisdom.
Thanks for the coffee.
No worries. We can't let you go without Confio confession. Tell us something that we don't know about you.
Okay. So, once upon a time, actually when I started dating my wife,
okay.
A friend of mine came to me and said, listen, he was running a hair product competition,
Okay.
And he had there was hardly any entries in. And he said, "Oh mate, would you just do me a quick video, about your hair and how you whatever." I said, "Yeah, sure." Anyway, so I did that, and and they ran them on the television.
Oh,
So
wow.
I was at my girlfriend's house at the time, right? And there I am popping up on the television. So it was, and there was only I think it was only 4 entries or something like that, and I still didn't win. So so there you go.
Can we see that on YouTube? Or?
So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not. I wouldn't even know where to find it. But it was a
don't
very
want to disclose
funny thing.
that
Yeah,
either.
exactly.
Yeah. Classic, mate. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks.
Thank you again for tuning in to Coffee with Confio. That was an episode on personal branding. Mark, it was great to have you. Feel free to tune in, guys. If you have any questions for both myself and Mark, feel free to reach out to us on any of our socials. We'll reach out to Mark and feed that information through, because we really want to benefit small business and ensure that you take your business to the next level. So thank you for tuning in. It's Will from Confio Insurance. Cheers.